Hi guys, it's Alex here with Recombo, and I have here an iPad 3 and an iPad 4. And of course, as you can see, it's very difficult to tell the difference just by sight. And in fact, the differences are very subtle and most of them are internal. First and foremost, the biggest difference on the outside is the front-facing camera. The iPad 3 here uses a 0.3 megapixel camera for FaceTime, whereas the iPad 4 gets an HD upgrade to a 1.2 megapixel camera. That's the main difference on the front. Aside from that, the aesthetic is almost identical. Dimensions are the same, weight is the same as well. Ignoring the fact that this model is a Wi-Fi only, both iPads do have LTE support. However, the iPad 3 only doesn't support LTE in the UK, whereas the LTE version of the iPad 4 will support LTE in the UK on EE. The cameras on the back are the same as well, and the port layout, camera placement, headphone jack, lock button, speaker, they're all the same. The only other physical difference, which you might be able to spot down the bottom here, is if I put them on top of each other, the connector at the bottom, of course, has now changed from the 30-pin connector of old to the new 8-pin digital lightning connector. So it's a double-sided connector. Apple says it's more durable, it's smaller, and it's just all-round easier to use is the idea, of course. There's support and accessory issues currently with moving from one to the other if you've used one type of connector for a long period of time. So we'll just get those back in center of frame. Now, the other key differences are internally. The A5X chip can be found in the iPad 3 here, whilst Apple have upgraded the processor inside the iPad 4 to an A6X chip. So it's 2 increments up, with the A6 chip being in the Apple iPhone 5. Apple say that this actually gives it twice as powerful performance for processing, doing standard tasks. So I thought we'd have a look at loading Safari from afresh. These have both been freshly reset, so 1, 2, 3. Now, interestingly enough, the iPad 3 managed to do that one a little bit faster. I have to say, in general user experience, I haven't seen any significant differences in performance. And the only main difference in launching apps and more intensive apps like games with 3D graphics is loading time seems to have been greatly reduced on the iPad 4. Speaking of games, that's one other thing we'll try out. So if I go to our games, Real Racing 2, 1, 2, 3. So as you can see, the iPad 4 there is already running the title sequence. And if I skip the opening sequences, again, the iPad 4 is faster to get into the menu screen, load up the graphics and the menu and everything. So you can see it's faster, marginally faster. In terms of actual gameplay, on both of these I've already tested out, and you'll see that in terms of frame rate, stutter and everything, it's exactly the same. There doesn't seem to be any significant change, but again, the iPad 4 loads that fraction faster when you're executing tasks, executing actions, launching games, and launching intensive apps. As you can see, we're already in the race here, a few seconds behind. But frame rate is solid. And if I can tilt them a bit, the response is identical. So as I said, aside from the lightning connector, the faster processor only provides a slight boost to the performance and the usability. Other than that, it's effectively the same tablet, and it was an interesting choice for Apple to make it, considering that typically their device cycle is a year, and this one only came out 5 months after the launch of the iPad 3. So that's a comparison quickly between the iPad 3 and the iPad 4. Thanks.